Hi, and welcome to Straight Shot Radio. My name is Johnny Slick, and I'm the owner and head coach at Straight Shot Training. This is part 2 in our 2-part episode on our first experience training for and competing in a strongman competition. In the first episode, Rebecca, Brandon, and I discussed our training along with our coach Andrew and gave you a brief overview of the events at this competition. In this episode, we get into the specifics of how we did on each of those events and reflect on the entire strongman competition experience. Plus, we'll give you some tips on how to enjoy your first competition as a strongman or strongwoman. All right, so before we get into talking about that event, let's take it back to, let's kind of go through the way they were set up in the parking lot. So we'll start with Fingal Fingers, which was my first event. When we get to whatever your first event is, I want you to give me what your take was on your first event, because I almost threw up after mine. My heart rate was so high, and I was so amped. Once you get through the first event, did that change the whole day for you? Like, it helped you kind of calm down some?
Definitely.
It really
kind of
helped
showed
me.
you like how it was gonna run, like because the way they like called your name, you're getting like so much anxiety.
Yeah. Like I was
gonna call my name.
Yeah. So first off, strongmen do not warm up.
No,
they don't. Number one, okay? They were also smoking in between attempts. It's a totally different culture than you think of, even with like CrossFit. Very CrossFit-y in that like you're going all out at each event. You're trying to move as fast as you can. There's a lot of people cheering for you. That was really cool, is how many people cheered for you. Yeah. But very different than CrossFit events, very different than the normal gym experience. So Fingal Fingers was flipping these things as fast as you could. It was really cold in the morning. I ended up seeing everybody was using like gloves, like mechanics gloves. Mm-hmm. Did you borrow somebody's? So you have your own?
John's. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I borrowed somebody else's gloves, which really helped. We did get a chance to kind of press the fingers to see like how they felt.
Yeah.
I did okay in that event. I got to the 500-pound one. It was timed. I got the 1, 2, and 3 really easy. The 4, it took me a second to get up my belt on my shoulder, press it overhead, and throw it over. The 5, I got to my shoulder, started walking up, and I ran out of time. So how'd you do on the fingers?
So I got 1 and 2 were really easy. And
just like flipped them, right?
Just basically flipped them, and then 3 just felt like a huge jump from 2. So that one, it was a struggle. I got it on my leg, got it on my belt, got it a little higher on my stomach, got it up to my shoulder, and then I started walking it in.
You didn't press it overhead though? You walked on your shoulder?
I walked it on my shoulder.
Okay.
And then once you got to the point where it was like almost vertical, I just felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. I mean, I would lunge it forward, and then the weight would kind of push me back, and then I'd lunge it forward again, and then eventually I was able to get the 3rd one over. But then I only had like 10 seconds left, so I just didn't.
You just called it out there.
I just called it out.
And how'd you do with the fingers, Brandon?
The fingers were good. I got through the 3rd one, and then the 4th one, they have like the blocks underneath. So as soon as I like picked it up, he removed it, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like this is heavy." So I set it all the way down and like readjusted it, and I was like, "Crap!" So then like the way I deadlifted it up was like backwards with my fingers. This is the only way that I could get underneath it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it fully underneath. So I got it up to like my legs and then to my belt, and I had it up there, and I just couldn't like hip drive it up and like get it underneath.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like confident in it, and like having 400 pounds, I was like, "No, I'm good."
Now, before this whole thing even started, Andrew told my wife, "You're going to watch somebody almost die today."
Yeah.
First event in the sub 165 class for men, the smaller guys, this one guy flips the first finger over fast, gets to the second one, starts walking it up, slips, hangs onto the thing, it bends him over completely backwards and pile drives him into the ground. And I looked over at Rachel, and she looked at me, and we're like, we just watched someone die. He got up and he finished as far as he could in the event, but that's pretty common to see people just go all out. Somebody else got hurt at the deadlift as well.
Yeah, I think as a competitor, you need to have there's a fine line between like athlete responsibility and like pushing yourself really hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who compete in strongman and strongwoman tend to like push really hard, and I know especially on the max log with the women for Rebecca's class and the class before her.
Yeah.
There was some
like dropping the bar in their heads.
On the max log. And I think it's it's imperative for like coaches and athletes to communicate, and especially on like attempts and things that they're going to try. You want to walk out of these things and not get injured. That's obviously like number one priority, So I just think people for whatever reason, I don't know if it's ego or whatever, they tend to push really hard, and like I said, you will see someone almost die today, and that happened probably 20 times in that competition. So
that's fingers. We'll rotate over to the car deadlift. So preparing for the car deadlift, we did a lot of trap bar deadlifts, which is where you're standing inside that hexagon bar or octagon bar, and you're deadlifting it so your handles are on the sides. The car is kind of set up the same way, but instead of deadlifting up, you have to like deadlift up to break the frame off the ground, right, Andrew? And then after the frame breaks, then the car starts to tip after that? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so you have to almost like flex the frame and get the frame, tight off the ground, and then pull there, and then once you get there, you're kind of like hinging almost and pushing your hips through to try to lock out.
And kind of leaning back.
I'm not crazy about the lean back.
Yeah, that was confusing. Q.
I just don't think it's a great one. Car deadlift is its own animal. It was really popular for a long time in like the late 2000s.
Okay.
And it seems like it's making a comeback now. So.
Oh boy.
That should be fun. But it's its own animal.
Yeah.
I've seen professional strongmen who. I don't know if you're familiar with like Derek Poundstone, but Derek Poundstone was a very prominent strongman, like won the Arnold Classic 3 times.
Yeah.
And he almost was beaten by a relatively mid-tier strongman at America's Strongest Man in 2000. I believe it was 9. Don't quote me on that though. But he wasn't able to lift the car, and you're talking about somebody who.
So he zeroed the event.
Correct. Yeah. His name. Well, I won't say his name just to be respectful. But he's a great strong man, and he doesn't compete anymore. But he would have beaten Derek Poundstone that year, but he couldn't he couldn't deadlift a truck. So,
okay.
So yeah.
So zeroing an event means you can't lift the lightest weight in that event, right? Because sometimes the weights increase. So zeroing an event. So one of the goals I had for myself going into it, which I realize now was kind of a lofty goal. I'm glad I did okay with this one, but I didn't want to zero an event. But Andrew, how many events have you zeroed?
Quite a few.
Right, so it's a normal thing. I was thinking,
and I've zeroed events as lately as like 2017.
Okay. So that's something that people need to be okay with, is that you might not be able to lift the lightest weight in that event.
Yes, it happens all the time, and it's happened to everyone.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw the weights going into this and thought, I'm not going to zero, because I knew going into it. But the car was much heavier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, car deadlift is its own animal.
Yeah.
It's kind of in its own separate class of event. It's called a car deadlift, but it's just, like you said, it's its own little beast. And
because not only because you're deadlifting it, and then if you get a rep, they throw plates on.
Correct.
So I got one rep with it. They threw a 45-pound plate on. I got another rep with it, and then I couldn't move it at all after that. And there were guys who were doing plenty more reps outside of that.
There's also no like standardization in strongman, obviously. So the car deadlift you could do here with a small car, and it could be very challenging. You could also have like a different setup on the car deadlift, and you could have like an SUV and probably pull it for 10. Okay. It all just depends on kind of how far the handles are away from the car, kind of almost
how far
like
the frame is away from it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yep. And then how whether it's on blocks, how high the pull is when you initially start. So like almost pull it, make it like a rack pull.
Okay. Things
like that. So car deadlift is, and I've zeroed a lot of car deadlifts.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan, but.
So it was the same car for you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Rebecca, you had a tire on yours. Yeah. What'd you guys think?
I was not prepared for what that was going to feel like.
How heavy it was.
And even the motion, I was just thinking it would feel like a deadlift.
Yeah, and they kept telling you to walk your feet farther forward and lean back. She kept falling.
Yeah, so I had all of my competitors knew that this was my first competition, so they were very encouraging and they were trying to help me out. But they were also all yelling things to me at the same time, and I was trying to do all of it all at the same time, and I'd never done it before, so yeah, the cues that they gave didn't actually help me much.
Brandon, what did you think of it?
It was a lot heavier than I thought.
He also had to start with car deadlift.
Yeah, so that was my starting one. So
which is very difficult.
Yeah. So I thought when we were training and stuff, my deadlift was going up, and I felt strong in it, and I'm pretty confident in my deadlift. So when I got there, I was trying to get hyped up and everything, and that first like the platform went up, and then like the deadlift or like the car.
Yeah.
I was like, nope.
Nope.
Like I tried like my hardest, like
Yeah.
probably 5, 6, 7 times.
Because you have a minute. Most of these events
Yeah.
are times. You have a minute to try to accomplish something. Like
Yeah.
the log press, too. We'll get into it in a second. Yeah, you had timed everything that you could try. So if you miss, just because you can't pick it up, it's not like powerlifting, whereas if you can't lift it up, that's your attempt.
Yeah.
In Strongman, you have a minute to try to, typically a minute, something like that, to try to move him.
When it was like cold out there too, so you
yeah.
had no warm up. So you're basically doing your max effort with no warm up.
Yeah, what's up?
And it's
what's up with no
cold,
warm-up?
and then you're just like going.
That's just how we roll, man.
Okay, there's no warm up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Not a lot of rehab.
No, there's no prehab. Jeez, should have done my prehab at home.
I did warn you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did,
So truck pull, the truck
nice.
pull fiasco. So the truck was on a slight downhill, meaning uphill. Sorry, the truck was going downhill. You were
Yeah.
trying to pull it uphill.
Yeah.
So when Rebecca, you did truck pull first.
Yes.
Okay, and you pulled the it was like a
F-150.
F-150. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got that how far?
Like 16 inches.
Okay.
It wasn't far.
So you're holding onto this rope out in front of you, and Andrew was telling us pull the slack out of the rope,
Yeah.
which we were not able to do because we're not strong enough. But the more slack I got out of the rope, the easier it got because you're able to pull yourself. If you have no slack, if there's still slack in the rope, like you're standing up so upright, it was
Yeah.
kept pulling you, like you kept falling over. Also, the guy wasn't moving the rope for you though.
No.
That made it difficult because you fell over the rope a couple of times.
Yeah.
When they switched to Brandon's weight class, they switched trucks to this. What was that truck
It was
that they were pulling?
called a deuce and a half.
Yes.
On like the rules and like
Yes,
the
it's a
weights.
deuce and a half.
A deuce and a half.
It's a
So they
giant
took
truck.
the women's like truck, the F-150 out,
Yeah.
and like rolled in that deuce and a half. It
So
was
no
like,
one in your weight class could do it, right?
No, and our weight class was novice,
Yeah.
teenagers,
Yeah.
and masters, and they gave us this huge military grade truck.
And yeah,
And I
so
was
by
like,
the time they got to mine, we were supposed to do a deuce and a half as well. Not even the bigger class
Yeah.
for novice was able to move it. So they switched trucks. They pulled an audible, switched trucks. So I got to pull the same truck as Rebecca. So it was at that point for my weight class, it was just how far, like how quick can you pull this truck across this line?
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to work on that that pulling strength a little more. Which I thought I had plenty of pulling strength until I went to pulling that rope and I could not get the slack out of it.
You guys picked a very challenging events for your first competition. You guys definitely did not go for the faint of heart
No.
competition for your first one. Yeah, you guys definitely went all in.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So we finished those 3 events. We're inside. We have the log press. So Rebecca, your log was a 10-inch log in
Yes.
diameter. Ours was a 12-inch.
It was 12, right?
Yeah. So Rebecca, what was your opener?
So I opened at 120. I actually didn't know what I was going to open with because I didn't ever test my one rep because I was sick in bed at that
Oh,
time.
that's right. Because Brandon and I
Yeah.
Yeah.
we figured out what our openers were that week that you were sick.
Right, so
Okay.
I just during the warm up was trying to feel it out and trying to figure out what I wanted to open with, and what Andrew and I had talked, and we were thinking 110. But as I was warming up, 100 felt real easy. I'm like, well, I'm going to throw 110 on there to warm up and see
So
how it goes.
your class could take 20-pound jumps, right?
Oh, that was 10.
No, sorry,
You were
10-pound
counting.
jumps.
10 pounds.
We had to take 20-pound
Yeah.
jumps in ours.
So I warmed up with the 110, felt pretty good. So I decided to open with 120. Did that, it went up pretty easy. And then
smoked it.
Yeah.
second attempt 130, and my clean was ugly, and I wore out my shoulders getting it up to my chest in the front rack, and then it just went downhill from there pretty quickly.
Are
So
you guys
it's-
doing?
Oh, we're recording. We're recording,
Judy
Judy.
out here.
Me.
He's coming back out. Don't cuss, Judy. Brandon, what did you open with?
I opened with 150.
150.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you? Is we going in? We thought you were going to open it we thought you were going to open at 160. And
Yeah.
then they told us
We're going to do 20-pound jumps.
you're going to do 20-pound jumps,
Yeah.
and the log weighed 90 pounds.
Yeah.
So we had to start. You had to start at 150. You did 150. What was your second attempt?
170.
And
And
then-
then I wanted like 200. Like that was my goal for the log press.
Yeah.
But like the only jump that I could have done was 190 or 210. So I said screw it and let's just jump to 210 from 170, which
Okay.
was like a huge jump,
That's
40
a huge
pounds.
jump.
So
It's not like you get a warm up in between those two.
no. So like I knew it was gonna be hard, but I knew that was my goal. So I was like willing to take like the failure.
Okay.
So like I did it and I got it to my head and then came down and like tapped my forehead and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And like I cleaned it up good. Like I
Yeah.
felt good with it. I felt confident. It was just my legs were shredded from the deadlift and the truck pull already. Like I couldn't. I
You
was
just had
like
no leg drive
juice.
on it. Yeah. So I opened at 170. So when you open, if you, let's say you miss your second lift, your opening weight is your weight.
Yeah.
If you make your first lift, you make your second lift, but you miss your last lift, your second weight is your score. So whoever has the highest score wins, obviously. But if there's a tie, it's who had the heavier lift in the previous round. Or like if I lifted 210 on my third round, which I did, and somebody else lifted 210 on their second round, but they missed 230, they beat me because they lifted it earlier. And that's what ended up happening. But I knew that I couldn't hit 230. So I started at 170. I did 170, 190, 210. 210, I missed the first time. I couldn't lock out my left arm. Had to set it down. And then I walked back, and I immediately walked back up, cleaned it, pressed it again, and got 210. So there were other guys who pressed 210, but a lot of them missed 230. They all still beat me because they had... So I only beat one person in that event. My problem, my rookie mistake that I made was they said explicitly in the beginning, do not drop the log. Don't throw the log from overhead. And I definitely, just CrossFit, just let go of the bar overhead. Did you guys see it when I did it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was not a controlled drop, right? I got it overhead, and I felt my arms unlocking because I couldn't lock it out anymore. So I locked it out, stood up. They said good lift. I went to go get ready to take it down. As soon as I unlocked my elbows, I just like, okay, bar's coming down. And I just took it straight down. It was not a gentle drop at all. It was. So they actually said, we'll do you a favor, and we'll give you this lift. They could have made me zero that event for doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the rules.
Well, the thing is there were other big boys that were there, doing the press, and then they were dropping it behind them.
So if you miss a rep, that's fine. If you make a rep and you drop it, because they say if you make it, you should have enough control to get it down. And I understood I should have. It's just my heart rate was so high, I wasn't thinking clearly. When I went to lower the weight, I didn't have it, so I was like, get out, just move back. And so that was a bad call on my part. That was one of the biggest thing. Even more so than I needed to move faster on everything was I wish I hadn't dropped that bar. I apologized to the guys afterwards and thanked them for letting me still have that lift because by the rules I shouldn't have had that lift. So yeah, try to stay. As tough it is to try to stay inside yourself, you do have to kind of move yourself away from the competition because there's just so much going on. All right, so moving on to stones. This is my favorite part of the day.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I think the fingal fingers is my favorite, but stones was a close
Stones,
second.
yeah. Like farm work. So first thing that was different for us in the stones, well, I'd never lifted a stone higher than 170, and I got to my shoulder.
Yeah, I've never done more than 145.
145. You've never done more than what?
145.
145. You get to your shoulder?
No.
Shoulder?
No,
yeah, just to your chest. Yeah. So we go into this we don't know what these stones are going to feel like.
No.
We've gotten our front squats up. We've gotten our deadlifts up. We go into this event and they make us wear tacky. Well, they didn't make us. They told us to wear tacky, which was a great decision. You ended up not doing it, right?
No. I had a little bit on.
It's basically like tree sap.
Yeah.
And you stick it to your arms so that your hands can stick to the atlas stone. So when you go to roll it up, it doesn't come out. Talking tacky.
Oh.
So and we got to wrap it up because I have a client. But we'll come back. We'll finish some other time. But so the tacky really helped you hold onto the ball. And the problem was as you roll up to your shoulder and you have to take your hand off, your hands stick to the ball. It's it's magic.
Well, that's the only reason I didn't do it a lot was because everyone was using tacky. So the first two balls, they had so much tacky on them. So as you cleaned it up, everyone's shirt was coming up and they couldn't see the platform. So it was just I just figured I'd be okay with it.
So I had a scrape on my arm from the fingers earlier, so I taped my forearm. Some people were duct taping their forearms. You didn't use any. Do you have any tape?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah. So just tacky on your arms.
Yep.
I had a little bit of tape and tacky on top of the tape, tacky on my hands. You're kind of standing there like an action figure waiting to go. And then when you go, you always say grip it and rip it, legit, that's what it feels like when you're wearing tacky. Yeah. You feel like you could just put your palm and palm a ball like a basketball. So that event there, Bren, you got the first stone to your shoulder.
Yeah, first stone, yeah.
Now you shoulder the second stone and then you set it on the platform rather than heaving it up.
Yeah, because the platform was to my chin, so I couldn't.
It's 60 inches. Yeah. You and I are only 66 inches tall.
Yeah.
And then what happened on the third stone?
The third one, I saw the difference in size from the second and third one.
Yeah.
And it was a lot wider, and I haven't practiced the stone with that.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my fingertips underneath the ball anymore.
Okay.
And I couldn't bring it up, and then I just struggled with that.
Okay. Rebecca?
So I got the 110 to my shoulder. It was pretty easy. Just the tacky was sticking to things I wasn't expecting it to stick to. And then with the platforms, my biggest mistake was I was too far away from the platform.
So by the time you got the ball up to your chest,
It was like I would go to set it down, like there's
nothing
here.
there.
So first attempt at the 130, I failed. I missed the platform and it came down to the ground. The second attempt, I was able to get it up. Then the second stone, again, I was too far away. So my first attempt, I got it up high enough that it would have gone onto the platform, but the platform was too far away, so then it hit the floor.
Okay.
And then I got stuck basically on the corner on my last attempt, and then time
ran out on that one.
from there.
For me, I was one of the first guys in my class to go. I saw the guy who won the 165, and he was like blazing through this thing. But he also deadlifted more than I did, and he was in the weight class below me. I mean, he's a strong guy. He won his class. So I get the first stone in my shoulder, which was easy. Walk over to do the next stone, which wasn't difficult. And so I'm like setting myself up perfect flat back on these stones, which is not normal when you're just loading stones. And I set myself up, and I even finished the last one, and the whole thing took me like 37 seconds or something to do all 4 stones. The guys who were winning were doing it in like 17, 18 seconds for these 4 stones. So speed was my thing. I should have moved much faster. But I mean, I don't know going to the competition, but
I mean, you set like 5 PRs on the Atlas stones.
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's not like you had a bad run.
No.
Yeah.
It's just speed. I mean, that's not something that we worked a ton on in training because we just had to get strong enough in training. But going to the next competition, like, you know, strategizing how fast you're going to be able to move would be helpful.
But like, how far was like the stones like being speed and just being like just doing the objective? Because like those guys were like going as fast.
Oh yeah,
like,
no,
their heads were like going into the platform. Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, it
well,
wasn't.
form
like,
is not something that's like CrossFit. Jeez,
Oh my
Strongman,
gosh.
CrossFit too. CrossFit especially, Strongman as well. It's all about doing things as fast as you can, right?
Well, I think for your particular stone run, it was a relatively light stone run. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's why guys are moving super fast.
Okay.
I think generally the 4th and 5th stone in the run are going to be pretty challenging, and not everyone is going to finish
Oh, gotcha.
those stone runs. So
Okay.
I think when as you guys progress, you'll see kind of as you go that kind of that 3rd and 4th stone are going to get pretty heavy. Like you're probably going to be loading in the lower 3s
Okay.
down the road, and
Yeah,
you're not going to
because
see.
240 didn't like. Once I picked it up and got it up
Yeah.
because it wasn't a high platform, I realized that I should have moved way faster through the whole
Yeah,
thing.
and you're going to see guys that aren't going to be able to finish, especially with it being the last event of a long day.
Yeah,
You know, guys that can load like big stones aren't going to be able to finish. That
Okay.
just based on like it just being very taxing on your
Yeah.
body for the entire day. So,
Yep.
you know, but you guys did great. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
All right, so we had to stop, train some clients. Did you have a client?
No.
No, Brandon and I had clients.
Yeah.
That worked out well. So we just wrapped up the stones. The whole day's over. How did we finish?
I finished dead last.
I finished dead last.
dead last.
Dead last, okay. So I wanted Andrew in here to talk about this. I didn't think I finished dead last at first because I beat at least one guy in every event, but there was one guy. The way the events work is there's 5 people in your group. If you win first, you get 5 points. If you come in last, you get 1 point, as long as you don't zero the event. I didn't zero any events, and I beat at least one guy every event, except for the stones, because I was slow. So I thought, oh, well, I probably didn't come in last. Turns out the guy who I would have beat so many of us on the truck pull that he jumped ahead of me by 1 point. So we all finished last. Was that disappointing to you all?
Yes, at first.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
I mean, it was, but like it was all over first like time, and like it just gave us like what we need to work on now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, there were 7 people in my group. How many were in yours?
Dude, I don't even
It was
know.
like 5?
Yeah, I think
It was small. Yours was what, 5 or 6?
5.
Yeah, so when you think about it, if we were in a pool of maybe 30, 40 athletes,
Yeah.
you know, that'd be one thing. But the fact that we were in such a small pool. Oh, hey, Andrew.
Trying to get me fired.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We'll be very quick with this. Coming in last place, Andrew. Have you ever come in last place before?
I have not. No.
You're not. Oh, okay. Well,
Wow.
see, now, okay. I was
I've
trying
come,
to.
I've come in second to last.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about. I thought I wasn't in last place, but I ended up being in last place because the one guy in the truck pool just killed everybody. I would have beaten him. So I was in last place by 1 point. So going into the next one, obviously, my goal would be to not come in last place. I would like that to be, something. But Yeah, like you said, I don't think it's that important being your first competition. You can't expect to. You're going up against people who have been doing this for a while.
Sure.
Most of the time. If you're in an open class, maybe not so much a novice. But most of the guys in novice actually look like they had...
Well, one of the teenagers that I was talking to, he was 18.
Yeah.
And he was probably like 230, 240, and he like log pressed like 270.
Jeez.
And he was like 18. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was... I mean, it was disappointing, but
Yeah.
obviously, like, you know, I kind of expected us to not crush it, like, against other people.
Right.
Now, my other goals going into it were, like, to hit PRs. So you PR'd the log.
Mm-hmm.
You tied your PR in the log, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
but it was way easier than you did here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had a
log
log clean PR, yeah. And then...
Major one.
Yeah, like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
We all PR'd our stones. We've never done the truck pull. We've never done the car deadlift. We've never done the finger. So I think going away from it, Andrew, how do you think we did on those?
I think you guys did great. Like I think the one thing that people don't necessarily take into account is you guys had like the guts to like put yourselves out there, especially since you know you guys I know like progressing forward want to do strong man, strong woman, but I think a lot of people are too scared to compete because they don't want to fail. And I think that's like really important that you guys put yourselves out there, had fun, set a lot of PRs, and did all that. I think the other important thing, you guys really didn't touch like any implements.
No.
And the implements you did touch, short of the log, were all very light.
Yeah.
So I think looking at everything as a whole, as your training, I think you guys did great. 'Cause,
Okay.
I mean, as you guys progress and get stronger, you compete more, you gain more experience, you start working with the different implements. I mean, you guys are gonna take off. So.
Oh, thank you. Cool. All right, so advice for people going into their first event. We've thrown a lot of it out here, but I would say once you finding an event, find one that's going to be, not super far away. You had your 10-hour one away. I'd say maybe try to find something kind of close, so it's not super stressful. Maybe go in as novice, so you don't have to worry too much about the weight classes. Because typically a novice, there's like a lightweight and a heavyweight. There's not all these middle ones. Look at the weights going into the events, and that'll give you an idea of what you need to train. If it's a max axle deadlift at 475 and your current deadlift is 315, you probably need to get that deadlift up.
Yeah.
Or find a lighter comp, or know that you might zero that event. And you can't go for every single comp that you're not going to zero every event, because you knew you probably weren't going to pull the deadlift.
I was hoping.
You were hoping? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so I went in with the 2 goals. Don't come in dead last and don't zero anything.
So how does turn out for you?
They didn't turn out very well.
Yeah, I think our goals for ourselves were really high on this.
That was the biggest
For
thing
me, especially competing in CrossFit and then going to this, it's like my first CrossFit competition, I came in like 13th out of 40 or something. Like, I knew I didn't do well, but I knew I beat a lot of people in it, and I was like really small then, so I thought, I'll at least maybe be like not dead last. But I think like you said, putting ourselves out there, I think the humbling experience of it makes me want to train harder.
Definitely. Yeah, I think with sports in general and as a coach, you can take failure 2 ways. You can either kind of crumple up and feel sorry for yourself, or you can use it as motivation to get better. And I think that's definitely what
That's why Andrew
happened with
texted me that a couple of days after the event, because he asked all of us after if we were going to do it again. And like that day, even though we knew that like we were probably going to be last, all of us said like, yeah, let's do the next one.
Right.
So yeah, I think if people are going to do their first competition, to not go in. You said earlier, keep your expectations low.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think maybe keeping your expectations low of
Like just
how
reachable.
or how you're comparing yourself to
Yeah.
other people.
Mm.
Like if you go in there and just very general say, I want to enjoy myself. I want to leave there not injured, and I want to set a PR. Like those are some pretty good goals to have going into it. And then I'd say get a good coach. We obviously wish Andrew was in here so we could compliment him, but Andrew did an incredible job taking us from a pretty generalized fitness program where we were, decently strong, we were decently endurant, fast, things like that. We were well-rounded and totally skewing our fitness level towards strength over the course of like 10, 12 weeks, which is not a long time to totally change 3 athletes to strength athletes. And I thought that he did a really good job considering that, we were able to move the weights that we were in training and in the competition. I think one of the biggest things for me was what I learned in training, even more than the competition. Like what kind of loads I was able to move. Like we set a lot of PRs in training
for sure.
that were more impressive than what we did that day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Rebecca, like that one day you did a Zercher hold for like 2.5 minutes at 185. Like some really impressive stuff in training that had we not had this goal of a competition, we wouldn't have done.
Right.
So that's one of the nice things. You said before it's nice to train for something.
Yes.
Because when's the last time you trained for something?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Which long time ago. 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
So.
You put a lot of training hours in when you played golf?
Yeah.
But that's like the last time you were like training for something in a sport. I'm not trying to like illegitimize golf. It's like you weren't doing like loaded carries or anything. So for me, I haven't trained specifically for anything since my last year of competing in CrossFit in 2013. So it's been 5 years since I've trained with the mindset of I'm going to apply this fitness in a way. So I think that's important too, is using your fitness, testing your fitness, not even against other people, but against yourself. Like, what are you capable of? And I think not comparing yourself to other people is always important. Obviously, if you're competing, though, you are comparing yourself to other people because it's a competition. So there is that aspect to it. But I think going into your first competition, just speaking to those people, I would say go into it trying to compete with yourself. Do the best that you can do and keep your expectations for how you're going to fare against other people and the implements pretty low, because you're not going to get to use most of the implements that are there. You're not going to have access to stones most of the time or fingers or pulling a truck. So you just get as strong as you can, which is what he told us to do.
Right. And
you'll do your best there that day. So last thing we're going to end with, how are you going to change things leading up to the competition in January?
I'm thinking I need to change my diet a little bit around and just like bringing all that I have like every single day to my training and stuff, because now I know what to expect and like what mentality that I need to like walk into that like competition and stuff.
Yeah. So how are you trying to compete in January weight class wise? You going open?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try open. Yeah.
So because now the one thing I want to mention is once you go open, you can't go back to novice.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about your first comp and you go novice, that might not be a bad idea, because once you go open, you wouldn't be able to jump back to novice. Rebecca, how are you changing training going into?
I'm going to deadlift until my legs fall off.
Okay.
So that's probably the biggest thing I'm going to focus on between now and January, is trying to get that deadlift up. I'm going to try to go for the same weight class, so probably walk around a little bit heavier than 165 and then cut.
Yeah, Andrew's getting excited. Heavy breathing over here.
Oh yeah. Sure.
My goal is I want to try to gain close to 20 pounds between now and April. Andrew and I talked before that if I'm above 190 or 183, 84 now, if I can get it well above 190, then I'll compete in the classes are combined this comp, so it'll be 180 all the way up to 220. So I'll compete in that class unless something happens. And like usual, I lose weight over the holidays because that's typically how things go. I know. Don't talk to me about it, because there's a lot going on. I get busy, and I just well, it's another time. But if my weight is low, then I'll just drop and compete as a 181. But I would like to try to taste 200 on body weight. And I know that Andrew's excited about that. So that'll be my goal. Andrew, we're thanking you. You weren't in here for taking our frail bodies and turning them into slightly less frail bodies in a very short amount of time. We're talking about the importance of getting coaching. Did you ever have somebody coaching you?
I've had somebody do my programming for like 3 months, but
really,
that was about it.
Oh my gosh, man! I keep tossing bad examples out here because I always try to get somebody else to program for me like half the year.
I mean, I really like the programming. I just just like stupid stuff why I stopped doing it. But yeah. I mostly just program for myself.
Yeah. Well, that's why we went to you, because you're obviously the expert with it. But
I don't know about that.
Okay. We do need to have you on to just specifically talk some stuff sometimes, because you've been dropping nuggets of wisdom and then running out and doing work out here on the desk.
I'm trying not to get fired.
Okay, good job. All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed these episodes. If you are planning on competing in your first Strongman competition, we wish you the best of luck in your training and hope you can enjoy your experience just as much as we did ours. If you're a fan of the show and you would like to show your support for Straight Shot, we would love to see you in the gym working out in our very first t-shirt. It's available now on straightshottraining.com. Just click on Store in the menu and you'll see it right there. These shirts are super soft but still durable enough to hold up wash after wash. And while you're on our website, you can also check out what you get with a subscription to our training program. You get mobility, prehab, strength and conditioning work, and cool downs delivered weekly to your inbox with demo videos and weekly coaching chats included, all for just $21 a month. Again, the website is straightshottraining.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week, everybody.